Hello, friends. This is Parag here, your host on Stage Strong podcast. Thank you very much for joining this podcast, and I'm so very thankful to each one of you who listen to this podcast to upgrade themselves in the field of kettlebells, strength and conditioning. It's my promise to bring you the best of the best information in the field of kettlebells. And via this podcast, I would like to introduce you to the best lifters in kettlebells who are above 45 age, so that the women in India who are above 40 get motivated to lift kettlebells, start strength training, start weight training, lift weights, and be happy, healthy, and physically fit. We have extremely special guest today who is originally from Japan, but she uh, got settled in Seattle, Washington, and her name is Saiko Shima. Uh, Originally, she is a yoga practitioner and she did her formal lessons in India way back in 2008 when she visited India, and she completed her learning in India. She runs a club with her husband in Seattle, and they both basically run the fitness club where they teach jiu-jitsu, martial arts, as well as yoga, as well as kettlebells. Uh, this is very exciting for me because she met with an accident in 2010 and her husband introduced her to kettlebells. So she was not exposed to weight training much, but when she got exposed to weight training, when she started lifting weights, she actually started healing her because of her lower back injury, which was occurred in accident. When she started lifting kettlebells, things grew to much better level. She got more stronger. She's 50 now, and I'm so very happy that she said yes to my podcast to join this 30 minutes interaction, so that this podcast can be very interesting because we have different people from different background coming to uh, speak about themselves and make other people understand how kettlebells and kettlebell sport can help you be physically fit, simultaneously also represent your state and country and make yourself proud. Please help me to welcome Saiko from Washington. Hello, friends. Welcome back. This is Parag here, your host on Stay Strong podcast. I'm very excited today. We have a guest from Seattle, Washington, Saiko, originally from Japan, and now she's based in US. And I'm so excited to speak with her about her kettlebell sporting journey. Over to you, Saiko. Please give me
Thank
your
you.
fitness and professional background. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. My name is Saiko from Seattle. I'm originally from Japan. Currently, I'm a head coach and owner of Crazy Monkey Kettlebell Club. I and my husband own a martial arts school as well. And I am kettlebell lifter
Okay.
since 10 years ago. And I consider myself as a lifetime yoga teacher. I have been teaching since 2003. And also I practice martial arts, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, purple belt, and I
Okay.
train and coach those classes as well.
Wow. Wow, that's great. So, what was your like a first introduction to kettlebells? Was it way back in Japan, or was it when you came to the US? You saw something like what was your first interaction or your first introduction to kettlebells, and who introduced you to kettlebell sport?
Okay, so I was not very physical person except for the yoga part. Yoga is part of my lifestyle and yoga meditation. Um, about 10 years ago, 2010,
Okay.
I got into car accident, so I got rear-ended in
Okay.
Seattle.
Okay.
I was coming back from yoga classes, and that was not a major injury or anything like that, but my lower back pain didn't go away for over 6 months. And I
Okay.
was wondering why I'm not healed. And then my husband, back in the day, that was my partner, he mentioned that you need to start creating a little bit more structure muscle wise in the back. And I was like, what are you talking about? I do yoga and I take care of my body. But I listened to his suggestion, and he taught me how to do deadlift starting
Okay.
from the bar and starting to have a little bit more strength in the lower back
Yeah.
area.
Okay.
And then actually that healed very quickly my back pain. So
Okay.
I got fascinated, like, okay, so weightlifting might be good for me.
Yes.
And then I started to look for something I can go in a regular basis. And back in the days, the CrossFit was really big in America. So I started to go into CrossFit gym, and they introduced me to barbell stuff and kettlebells and body weight stuff. So I ended up going to trainers certification. So I went to the weekend trainer certification. I became a trainer, and I started sharing with people in the gym randomly.
Okay.
And then the kettlebell wise, I saw kettlebells in a CrossFit gym, and I got fascinated by those movements. Like, this is so wonderful. Like, you can do this with any size, start with a light bell, feels safer to me. So I was doing a lot of movement, and I randomly posted my snatch video. Like, look, this is a very cool movement in social media, Facebook. And then one day I received a message from somebody I don't know. His name is Vince Chu. He was IKFF master trainer in Asia. And we are good friends now, and we do business together as well. But he sent a message very kindly and, look, I give you feedback about your technique, and you might hurt yourself by the way you're doing. And I feel so embarrassed, like, oh my gosh. and he recommended, like, there's an organization you can go through the training, which was IKFF. And that led me into get to know Ken Blackburn. He is the main head coach of the IKFF organization. And I reached out to him, and he ended up becoming my first coach. And he brought me into the kettlebell sports, into competitions, and that was the start of my kettlebell journey 10 years ago.
Okay. Okay. So basically, you didn't had any idea about kettlebells, although you got an exposure in the CrossFit club. So most likely you must be encountering the casting kettlebells, not the competition kettlebells, right?
Right.
Yes, yes, and that is how slowly you understand the benefits of the kettlebells, and then you got into the sporting background, right? So your lower back issue first was sorted by doing strength training, and then you got exposure to kettlebells, and then you went on to become a kettlebell sport athlete, right? That's
Right.
how it started. Wow, that's great.
Yes.
So, what was your first kettlebell competition? When did you play the first competition?
That was 2014,
Okay.
and there was a local competition in Seattle.
Okay.
And I did a 5-minute snatch with 12 kg bell.
Okay.
And I was so nervous, and I think I got like 8 no counts or something like that.
Okay.
And so that was the very start of my competition experience. And although the result was not what I think I did 87 reps with 5-minute 12 kg snatch. And I was not very happy with the result, but I got immediately hooked. And all the community atmosphere, and this is a one-person sports, but it's a team building as well. And
Yes.
all the competitors become friends. And it's nothing like other sports I have experienced, the camaraderie and passion and sharing.
Yes.
So I got immediately hooked, and eventually I started to form a kettlebell sport team within my own team gym.
Okay.
So it's been really fun, and
Yes.
yeah, I continue to do that.
Yes. Yes. Great. So now I guess you're using kettlebells for 9 to 10 years, right? Roughly. So you are into the kettlebell sports, strength and conditioning for 9 to 10 years. But prior to that, you had an exposure of yoga. You mentioned yourself as a yoga teacher, and you did your formal yoga learning even from India, which you mentioned. So how do you combine the training of the yoga and the training of the kettlebells for your clients, and how it is helping them?
In
Do
the
you-
beginning,
Yeah.
it was It's a little bit of the juggle around to find the right balance.
Mm-hmm.
Because when I started to do more weightlifting, kettlebells, I felt like I'm becoming less flexible. So,
Okay.
but I was very flexible prior to any of weightlifting. So I came to the point like, what's the good balance for my body? So I definitely have to keep the yoga practice in order to keep the performance of the weightlifting to the optimal. So
Yes.
if I neglect yoga practice, immediately shows in my performance of the kettlebell sports as well. So I now very value to have a joint mobility, yoga routine. If I skip those, the number shows on my lifting. So I try to be a good advocate for my students as well.
Yes.
How important to have those flexible joints
Yes.
and mobility, especially before they are doing their sets and lifting session. So that's one of my focus
Okay.
when I train somebody else as well. Okay, look, just lifting weights probably will be stuck somewhere to increase your numbers. So I feel the benefit of both, and just have a right balance between the two will be a continuous challenge and importance in my journey
Yes.
as well. Mhm.
Okay. Okay. Great. Now, meditation is also a part of yoga. If you'll see in a whole, so it really makes you calm and composed.
Mhm.
Kettlebells also would require a very good mental strength. So if you actually see the combination of doing a meditation, doing yoga, and doing kettlebells, it's basically developing you as a wholesome person when it comes to fitness, right? So my question to you is, if you're doing a long set, so for example, if you're doing marathon, or maybe if you're doing heavy weight lifting, like for example, in your case might be 20 kg snatch, or maybe 16 kg, or maybe 24 kilo snatch, how has your program with yoga, which you're doing already since many years, has helped you to continue the set until the last minute?
Mhm.
So has it improved your mental strength, or has kettlebells given you a different experience altogether, or has the
Mhm.
yoga helped you to be more resilient about your lift? Your experience you can share with me or
Yeah,
with everyone. Yeah.
definitely. So I grew up doing the meditation. My
Yes.
father used to have me sit before the dinner time. So I was
Okay.
like 5 or 6 and seated and not moving, close the eyes and breathing, just work on your breath. So with that foundation, I'm very comfortable with being still and just breathing and just be with myself. Um, when I apply that to the kettlebell, it's a whole new level, but it's a continuous path for me for the meditation. It's a moving meditation. And no matter how many years you're practicing seated meditation, it's a different kind of challenge. Okay, you are still focusing on your breath, focusing on being present. It could be easier in a very quiet room in a seated position, do nothing, but now you're moving the weights and all sorts of technical challenge to come through. But at the end of the 10 minutes, it's just a breath work and being present. If you move ahead of your movement in your thoughts, you start to fall apart. So I find it very interesting to do this kettlebell sports and see if you can keep your mind in the present moment, and that's a big part of the success at the end of the time, or not making the time. So I try to apply that practice as a moving meditation.
Wow. Yes, it's a very good experience for me also to understand the benefits of both, and it is also helping a lot of lifters if they're watching this to become more still, like you mentioned that you have to be very still and calm to do those reps, high number of repetitions in a 10-minute time, or marathon is 30 minutes or 60 minutes of time, and be still stable, mentally be more focused instead of being more aggressive. Unlike other
Mhm.
people, if you see they are more aggressive, and that is which basically elevates your heart rate, which is not really good for the kettlebell sport.
Mhm.
So wow, that's a very good experience. Now coming to the nutrition part, like do you have any specific nutrition? For example, do you take any supplements, or do you just eat your own food, or like if you want
Mhm.
to just throw some highlight on that?
So my physique, where am I coming from? If I don't do anything, I start to lose weight. So I can only imagine, like, if I don't lift weights, I'll probably look more frail and
Mm-hmm.
very thin. So for diet, well, nutrition wise, I need to really focus on not to lose the muscle mass and
Yes.
even fat. So I'm big into protein and carb. So coming from Japan, I eat a lot of rice
Yes.
and fish. I cook a lot of fish as my own diet meal
Okay.
and protein. And before the competition, I try to really load up the carbs and such. Um, I usually supplement myself with a protein shake, organic ones, and other than that, it's like a normal and try to drink a lot of water and sleep well.
Okay.
And yeah, I try not to change, my years of routines and just change the amount and just a little bit more carb oriented, protein oriented, and that that's all.
Okay.
Mhm.
That's nice. And you have had any kind of injuries with kettlebells while lifting, or if you have had anything like calluses are very normal, which everyone
Mhm.
gets. But apart from that, do you have any negative experience of kettlebells?
The only time I injure myself doing the kettlebell or competition is my left elbow.
Okay.
So that was during the competition, and I knew I was becoming the max, reaching the max. And there was a cheering section, one more rep, and my t-shirt, one more rep, and one more rep. So I kept doing a one more rep. And then I felt something kind of snapped. And I put the bell down and I ruptured, kind of torn the ligament
Okay.
of the left elbow. So that was 2 years ago, and it took me some time to heal. But I didn't have to do surgery. Just let it heal by itself about
So,
6 months or so. So still a little bit weaker side on my left elbow, but I try to be easy on this. And that was one of the moment like my mind was stronger than my body, and I
yes.
just push and push, and that was the only injury happened during the training.
Okay.
Sometimes I have some shoulder aches and pains, and um, by this time of my training cycle, I know I'm okay. I'm doing too much, and I need to go back to the lighter bell and talk with my coach and change my tone of that program. So um, I really try not to injure myself and
Okay.
not to overtrain my students either. So
Yes.
try to be a little bit more sustainable in the long run.
Long longer. Exactly.
Mhm.
Yes. 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 Yeah. And what was that weight you were doing? When you tore, or maybe when you got hurt with the
Oh,
lifting?
I was doing a 16 kg snatch.
Snatch. Okay. It
Yeah,
was a
with
snatch
them.
event. Okay.
Yes,
Okay. Okay. Okay.
the snatch is a really hard lift for me, and I hate it at all. In the first 5 years of training and competing, I only did long cycle, and I loved single bell, double bell, long cycles. And
Okay.
my current coach, Abigail Johnston, she kind of converted me into the snatch convert.
Yeah.
So
She's a snatch queen.
yes, I love it, and very technical lift, and so much more to go through the journey.
Yes.
So I like that lift now.
Yes. 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 And the next question is also for the viewers to understand the importance of the coach and the like. Now, you've been training for a really long time, and at times what happens is we end up not having a coach because we feel that we know everything and we can do it by ourselves. What do you feel and what is your experience? You training without coach, you training with coach. If you can just share your experience with that.
Okay, so my I tried without coach. I went
Mm-hmm.
through, three coaches in my kettlebell sport journey, and I feel like, oh, like combining all three coaches, with them, I may be able to create my own program. And I did that as well, especially when I was coming out of the injury. I feel like it's not fair for my coach to, create program without knowing my healing condition. So let me just make my own programs, and it didn't work well for me. One, because I tend to overtrain myself if I make my
Okay.
own program. Like I
Okay.
tend to do a lot of
Lot of
repetitions
work.
and
Yes.
kill myself, and then like it's not sustainable over time. And also I don't do the drills I don't like. I
Okay.
tend to avoid, for instance, like swing, 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 snatch. Like I don't like the drill, but it's very necessary. And I think everybody needs somebody who look at you not subjectively and just observe from the third person and give you what you need. And sometimes you need to be pulled back. Sometimes you need to be pushed. And if you're training yourself, it's sometimes very hard. So I I am strong believer of everybody needs your own coach, and just to have use that person as a sounding board and get the feedback, get the critical feedback, so you can just absorb it and just work together. So it's a I consider this as a team effort, and
Yes.
also by working yourself, it can be very lonely,
Yes.
and I need some pep talk sometimes, and coach is there for you. So
Yes.
I I need a coach by myself.
So typically, what is your training routine? How many hours do you practice? How many times a week? Like, do you combine
Um,
strength training and kettlebells on the same day? First of all, do you do strength training? That is the most important question because not
mhm.
necessarily every kettlebell sport athlete does the strength training. So, do you do? And what are the training days? How many hours do you practice?
My coach give me the training sets 3 times a week.
Okay.
So those are the sports training set I need to do. And nowadays, she give me just do some accessory work for this part of the shoulder. I'm coming from a little shoulder acheness, so do some band work. So it's up to me to do those accessory work, and I
Okay.
try to do that right after my sports set. So that will be kind of conditioning part, a little bit of the parts working. That's I call this accessory work.
Yes.
And then once a week, once or twice a week, I ran.
Okay.
Nothing too crazy, about 2-3 miles. And once a week, I do the stairs. There's like a 300 stairs in a city nearby, and I do go up and down for like a 1 hour. That's my leg day. And other than that, I'm on a mat and I'm in a gym all day long, and I work with people. So it's a lot of physical activity for me throughout the day. I coach Brazilian Jiu Jitsu. That's
Okay.
another physical activity. I roll with people three or 4 times a week. So between all of that, I have a lot of physical movement
Okay. So
activities.
specifically, you do not do strength training like squats, deadlift, military press, bench press. These do you add these kind of training routines in your program?
Not for myself at this moment.
Okay.
Partly because I'm lifting heavy for my weight
Yes.
class. I've been doing a lot of 16 kg, and um, I used to do like a heavy squats, heavy deadlift in my off season. But now I don't have off season,
Okay.
and
Okay.
I compete like 4 or 5 at least competitions a year.
Here.
So
Yes.
I put those a little bit aside. Okay, maybe some other time. But if my student wants to do some barbell deadlift and heavy bench press, I'll create that into their program and help them work as well.
Interesting. Great. Cool. That's very nice information from your side. I would like to know your best kettlebell lifting records in all formats. For example, if you are doing marathon, 30-minute or 60-minute, your best numbers, and 10-minute classic, your best numbers. So if you can just share those numbers with us.
Okay. So 2 minutes, two arm long cycle was 10 minutes. I did was 12 kgs. My best was 83 reps.
That's long cycle?
Yeah, long cycle, two arm long cycle. And 16 kg, 10 minute snatch. I think my record was 79 reps. I'm
Snatch.
continue to grow this one. Yeah. And got a few CMS on 16 kg snatch. And also I'm in a legend class now. I'm 50 years old, so I got a couple of CMS with 12 kg snatch, 160 reps. That was my best, personal best.
Marathon?
Marathon, I don't have formal records.
Okay.
I
But do
have
you do
done
marathon?
1 hour.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
I have done 1 hour, 12 kg long cycle, 1 arm long cycle, but I didn't count. It was in a gym setting and it was informal lifting.
Okay.
That's one area I'd really like to explore, like half marathon and marathon, and I'd like to try this year double half snatch. That's
Yeah.
kind of new lift.
Yes.
And yeah, that's my new goal to try out sometime this year.
Okay. Okay. Wow, that's nice. So yeah, a long way to go, and
Yes.
you're so young, Saiko. You're just 50 years.
Thank you.
Don't look like. That's the
I
beauty.
feel young.
That's the beauty
but-
of beauty and the secret of Japanese people.
Oh, thank you. It's a gene as well. I'm
Okay.
kind of lucky, but the kettlebell sports wise, I didn't start until almost 40 years old, and I'm a super minority in terms of the age and also the size. I'm 48 kg. I walk around 46 kg weight, and the closest weight class I can get in is right now 52 kg. So I have a lot of wiggle room to get in there, and
Yes.
there's a reason why there are so few people in my age and this size doing the kettlebell sports.
Yes.
But I want to be very loud to be advocate about all the ladies out there around my generation. You know, if I can do this, you can do this, and
Yes.
it's such an empowering experience.
Absolutely.
Not only how you look, but how you walk around. You have more confidence about your strengths, and that's I really like about coaching as well, to empower those women out there.
Yes. I want one secret of Japanese people to live longer and
Mhm.
look younger. You have to share that with me today.
Oh, I think food. I don't know.
Really?
But food. Yeah, food is important.
Okay.
There was a time when I was in New York City. I was single, and I don't have mom, and I was not cooking, and my diet got really bad because I just didn't have time for that, and that was when my health was really bad, and I was sick, and yeah, I was not overweight, but I was getting more skinnier and not very good nutrition, and I didn't look very healthy. And now I try to make meals for all my families and myself, and that's very important to have all three meals, and not necessarily how much, but just to have a home cooked meal. It's very important. So I
So
think
the secret
that's
is fish and rice.
fish and rice. and just white rice and
Yes.
tea, green tea, and just to have a
And
yeah, and walk
kettlebells.
walk a lot, maybe walk a lot. Try not
Yes.
to drive
And,
too
and,
much.
and not to mention kettlebells. Very important.
Yeah, not to mention I tried to convince my mom for 10 years, and I even have a kettlebells at home in my mom's house. When I go home, I try to lift, and my mom look at me like a crazy person. But bone density wise, oh, I want to mention like I did a bone scan very recently. What it is like, do the X-ray kind
Yeah,
of,
yeah,
you
yeah,
lay
yeah.
down and do the X-ray type of scan, and they tell you everything: your lean mass index, your where your body fat is, right and left side difference, each parts, and bone density. And what I was amazed was my bone density was almost off the chart, like 97 percentile, based on my same age group and average. So I was twice as much as bone density, and I know that's not generic per se. It's I created that with all those weightlifting, and I was amazed, like, oh, you know what I have been doing is, in the right path. It's good for, you can't see it, from the surface level, but your bones are healthy, and it's a it's a great sign to continue doing this.
Great, great, great. Thank you very much for sharing that wisdom with us.
You're very welcome.
Okay, so we are almost on the end of the podcast, and what is a very strong message you want to share with the women kettlebell lifters back here in India?
Just do it and find a coach,
Mhm.
and start with light bell. That's the beautiful thing about kettlebell sports. Anybody can do it, from the light bell, but the technique is so important, and just start swinging the bell with the right guidance of the coach. And I really recommend to do this on top of yoga practice as well. I know culturally India's yoga is implanted
Yes.
from thousands of years. So with supplements and cross training, I think weight training is another piece of puzzle, and that will empower from inside out. And I like to see more Asian people thriving, similar age group, and
Yes.
just to be advocate of the next generation as well. Your children are looking at how you do, and very impressive, empowering experience as well. So I recommend everybody to try.
Yes. Yes.
Yes,
Great. Wow. Thank you very much, Saiko. It was
you're
pleasure
very
speaking with you,
welcome. Thank you for
and
having me.
uh, so glad to interact with you and understand a lot of insights. The most important part is your background from yoga to kettlebells, and yoga helping you in kettlebells immensely. And you at this age of 50, you're leaving a mark on the world level eventually after you go to the kettlebell sporting competitions in Portugal, and I'm sure you'll do well there. And this
Thank
all
you.
entire journey and entire lifting plus your background of yoga plus meditation will definitely help you to get your numbers the way you and your coach have decided. So
Thank you so much.
yeah, I wish you loads of luck, and I wish you good luck, and see you sometime.
Yes, see you in Portugal. Thank you so
Yes,
much for having me.
yes.
Bye.